out in mass all week long. And we are ready for the opening tip between Detroit and Minnesota. There's a look at the starting five. Okogie, the rookie, Terrell, Cook, Bates Diop, and Emile Jefferson, who's Sean Sweeney and John Lucas, the respective coaches for Detroit and for Minnesota. And the Pistons control. Ellenson hands it off to Drew. And a good steal right out of the gate by Cook. And Cook finishing with the layup.
Little casual nature things for Mr. Drew at the top of the key, and really good job by Charles to jump that.
Larry Drew played for several NBA teams, 76ers, Miami Heat, New Orleans Pelicans, amongst others. Here's Ellenson out top. Out of bounds, and it'll come back the other way.
The top five for Minnesota is very good. They need to improve their depth. And so if you're one of these guys on Summer League, Mr. Cook doing the job, the first thing you've got to show Tom Thibodeau is a willingness to defend. And Mr. Cook doing exactly that.
Cook out of James Madison University. Undrafted rookie back in 2017. Okogie, nice dime, never quite made it there. And here comes Bruce Brown out of Miami. On the break, and a sweet finish by the Pistons. Tyree Thomas out of Creighton. Coach McDermott had him for 3 years there at Creighton. Up court quickly to Ellenson. Brown inside, the extra pass to Drew, a straightaway three. A little bit strong. Drew also played for our colleague Jeff Van Gundy a couple of months ago, USA Basketball. Ellenson off the turnover from Bates Diop. Ellenson hasn't shot the ball particularly well, although he's done everything else. Ellenson out of Marquette.
Wow, a couple of bricks early, one on each end.
Rough start for these teams offensively. Ellenson on the pick and pop. You mentioned bricks. Somebody closed the door. That was strong. Cross court, good ball movement, Bates Diop. And another miss by the Timberwolves.
He's got good touch though, Mark. He misses, and he misses close.
Bruce Brown, an intriguing prospect, missed the last part of his season with the University of Miami because of a broken foot. But has a world of talent. Nice little short roll, the jumper good by Nana Egwu. Out of Chicago, a rookie undrafted back in 2015, played at Illinois. Terrell trying to get downhill. Nice feed to Emile Jefferson, and he misses. Ellenson.
You said it. Okay, he's done everything else well. So he's made two terrific plays. He's just missed shots. You wonder about the anxiety, the anxiousness to prove some things here if you're Ellenson.
A little pressure on him. He shot only 36% from the field, and in his third year, you know, this is the point where you start to have to make some kind of contribution that's tangible. Larry Drew on a nice cut to the bucket. And Detroit leading Minnesota 6-2 early in the first quarter. Mark Jones alongside Doris Burke, Cassidy Hubbard. We're into tournament play. It's win or go home at this point. Each of the teams, though, guaranteed 5 games in Summer League. Cook gets it back from Jefferson. Tough pass into a lot of traffic, and here's Drew. Egwu, and that's going to be a charge. Easy call. Dorsey almost blamed that one on the passer, right?
I agree. Yeah, you do. Definitely. You have two good defensive plays on both ends of the floor. Bigs who are sinking in to give some assistance.
Off the dribble handoff. Okogie. Rebounded by Ellenson. Brown played for Coach Jim Larinaga at the University of Miami. Ellison, a lot of dribble, but can't shake the defender. And Ellison off the mark again, having a tough time starting here. 0 for 4 from the field shooting, although he does have 3 boards. But the Detroit Pistons, as Terrell knocks down the mid-range jump shot, the Pistons hit the reset button, Doris Burke, hiring a brand new head coach, Dwayne Casey, the reigning NBA Coach of the Year, winning 59 games a season ago with the Toronto Raptors. The winningest coach in Raptor history is now Ellison, missing again, 0 for 5 from the field, and he looks to be pressing a little bit. But
that's the first shot I thought he pressed, though, Mark. I liked everything else he did, to be honest with you.
Jefferson inside with the board.
He's here to dominate. But I think you're right. There's Dwayne Casey. Of course, he won 59 games a season ago. And if Fred VanVleet doesn't get hurt in the final one, it might have been 60, right?
Yeah, easily. And, you know, that thing could have swung the other way had the Raptors won game 1 at home. They had 4 tips at the buzzer against the Cavaliers. And after missing that, the win came out of their collective sails, eventually losing, of course, in 4 games to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. A whistle and a foul on Larry Drew. Tweet on Dwayne Casey, the newly hired head coach of the Detroit Pistons. Last year won 59 games with the Raptors and already hard at work. He's been here in Las Vegas watching his Summer League entry do their thing, and things looking up. He's already been entrenched in Detroit, getting to work on retooling the roster a little bit and building it and customizing to the way that he wants to play.
I'm curious about something. So you have Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond up front. Drummond looks like he's in sensational shape. They want to play that style that the Raptors employed, which is, you know, a lot more three-point shots, faster pace. How do you feel like the pieces there fit, particularly in the front court, obviously?
Yeah, they could probably use a little bit more three-point shooting, but...
Although I feel like Drummond has posted some things.
Yeah. Andre Drummond, I've seen him down in Miami, Florida, where I live, and he is in fantastic condition as Drew knocks down a three-pointer. He's working out with Stan Remy, a personal trainer, basketball skills coach to many of the NBA All-Stars, and they are doing great work at Norland High School and down in the Miami area, working out at different places. And Andre is extremely fit and working on his perimeter, his face-up game, and something that will benefit the Pistons moving forward. And, you know, the ultimate acid test comes in games, not in workouts against pylons, but he looks to be ready for a really big season ahead.
Well, we know this about Blake Griffin. He can be a sensational passer, as Coach Drew in the house to watch his son.
Watching his son.
Better get on, Pops, for yawning now, Mr. Drew.
Tell you what, Larry Drew Jr., or the third, had a great USA basketball showing with Jeff Van Gundy, our colleague, a few months ago in February, and coming back and beating Puerto Rico in one of those qualification games. He hit several as Starr gets the N1 in Minnesota. Drew hit several big shots, one of them a three-pointer down the stretch that allowed USA basketball to go on and win. And he is, I've been told, and what do you think, Doris? He's an NBA player. It's about just finding the right spot and the right fit right now.
You know, 6'2", 180 pounds, and you know, the league is trending smaller, so those smaller guards have proven. You think about Ish Smith. You know, he's a perfect change of pace guard. That's already on the roster for Detroit.
Yeah. Look at Ish Smith and Drew driving, put it off high glass. Couldn't fall. Reggie Jackson, of course, missed a lot of the regular season, which was a big reason why Detroit ultimately fell short of making the Eastern Conference playoffs. It was a case of too little too late. Back after this.
And then I interviewed with Tom Gores, the owner of the Detroit Pistons, who he and I connected, and he's given me the opportunity that I'm very appreciative of for someone to believe in you.
I'm not sure who could have done a better job with that roster in Toronto, winning 59 games. And ultimately, Doris, I'm not sure what your take is. I think it was more a personnel issue and a LeBron issue than it was a coaching issue in Toronto. And in fairness to Masai Ujiri, the general manager, who said it's the hardest decision I've ever had to make in firing Dwayne because he's so good and such a great person. You just kind of felt that maybe it was a time for a change there. But what about Nick Nurse? What does he do for an encore?
Right, and Nick Nurse said in an interview on XM Sirius Satellite Radio, because I think all of us were surprised. You win 59 games, you don't expect to get fired. It was a franchise record for wins. Nick actually said, I think I've sacrificed some regular season wins to feel more prepared for the playoffs. So I thought that was an interesting thought. I also am fascinated by that sound because it goes back to a theme we had yesterday with some of the coaches, and that's coaching confidence.
Yeah.
And you know our colleague Jeff Van Gundy always says this, like, whether you anticipate being fired, whether you think it was in some part justified, it takes a toll on the person. And Dwayne Casey has been in the league a long time. Doesn't mean that he's rock solid confidence-wise.
Yeah.
And coaching confidence is a real thing, Mark. Yeah,
he's endured in the past, relegated to coaching in Japan at one point in his post-Kentucky days, and a nice emphatic slam there for the Pistons. And Griffin underneath. Coached with the Seattle Supersonics. Went to Japan, came back, was a head coach with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Was fired as head coach of Minnesota when he was just 20-20. But Casey's in Detroit now. I think he's going to do a fantastic job there. A very humble guy.
Oh, he's one of the nicest men in the league. And I'll say this about Nick Nurse. You think about Summer League, and we've talked about this throughout these few days. Nick Nurse is a guy who was Dwayne's offensive coordinator.
Yes.
When this is in the early days of Summer League, Nick Nurse would show up here on his own dime, and it was totally different back then, but he could end up coaching here. He has to pay his dues in the G League. He wins 2 titles in the then D League, now G League. So it's an interesting thing to watch these assistants now get opportunities. Lloyd Price gets an opportunity. Nick Nurse will be you're right, 59 wins following Dwayne Casey. The most successful era in franchise history. That's not easy.
It was interesting to see former 76er head coach Jimmy Lynam sitting beside Dwayne there, part of the day in the wake of Coach Appreciation Day here at the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. Nice look inside as the Pistons go up by 6 in this low-scoring game. Under a minute to go. Bates Diop with a nice floater in the lane. That's a smooth-looking shot. 48th pick in the draft.
He's shown some things, hasn't he? He had an excellent final year at Ohio State. He's long, Mark, 7'3" wingspan. Yeah. And he's done something nice here. He's been really efficient. Efficient movement, efficient shooting.
A guy that fits in today's NBA. Shot it at 36% from downtown collegiately. Lofton missed everything on the jump shot. Minnesota going to bring it down with 17 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Stark weaving off that ball screen. Got hung up underneath with nowhere to go. 1 second to go. It'll count. And that's the end of the first quarter of play. Arrest Eastern time. As we start the second quarter here, Mark Jones alongside Doris Burke and Cassidy Hubbard courtside. Detroit leading by 4. Terrell with a nice floater in the paint, a little bit strong. And back comes Detroit. We were talking about the Pistons a little bit earlier. Good to see that Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, and a bunch of the other guys on the squad showing up to support the Summer League version of the Detroit Pistons, getting in some workouts as well. Here's Isaiah Cousins out of Oklahoma. Played with the Salt Lake City Stars, their G League affiliate, the Utah Jazz G League affiliate. Nice move by Cousins to the bucket.
Well, how about Dennis Clifford telling him basically, go at him. Like, I don't think that he was calling for a screen. Clifford's like, take him on your own. The big man communicating with the guard.
At this level, Doris, it is still kind of about mismatches, isn't it? I mean, if you can't guard anyone, they're going to find out in a hurry. Cousins with a nice crossover. That time turned it over. Cousins actually is playing well here in Summer League as Hearn couldn't get the bounce. Cousins averaging about 3 assists per game, tied for the lead in Summer League. Averaging a little over 9 points per. Terrell. Rebounded by Detroit. Nothing but blue shirts. A lob up top. A good catch. And a foul underneath.
Let's go back to Isaiah Cousins. He has been in the G League before. He should be confident and comfortable here. He just crosses over a Necchionia. Very hard for a Necchionia to stay in front right there.
You know, interesting story about Cousins and how hungry he is. He played with the Salt Lake City Stars, the G League affiliate of the Utah Jazz, and has done wonderful work with James Brashilla, who's on their staff as a player development coach and a skills coach. There was a situation where the team had a 6 a.m. bus to the airport from their apartments where the team stays for a road trip, and Cousins wanted to get up a bunch of shots before the bus left. The home gym in Salt Lake City is about 20 minutes away. They didn't have time. There was no gym available, so Isaiah goes out and buys both he and James Brashilla a monthly membership to a local health club. They used it for 2 hours to get a workout in, made it back in time for the bus before it finally left for their road trip. That is the guy that's trying to make it. That's the guy that's hungry to eat.
Which you have to be here, right?
Yes.
Put in your extra time. And James Brashilla, somehow I feel like Franny Brashilla got his son on our telecast tonight.
I speak to James. I see James in a lot of gyms. He is around the country working guys out from Salt Lake City down in Miami with Kelly with the Miami Heat. Kelly Olynyk. Brashilla's doing a good job working on players and getting them better around the NBA.
You talk about a basketball junkie. That's James Brashilla.
9-point lead for Detroit. Here's Jones, Perry Jones out top. Yes, that's right. That's the Perry Jones that was highly acclaimed at Baylor. Gray inside. Rebounded by the Timberwolves. Latero's not shy. Still trying to connect on most of his jumpers. Thompson on the baseline. Nice reverse, but he couldn't catch. Kogi over to Gray. Gray couldn't finish Hearn with the board. Up and down they go. Chicago Bulls winning next door a moment ago. The winner of this game will take on Wendell Carter and the Chicago Bulls. Wendell Carter has been arguably one of the top 5 guys here at Summer League. Don't you think, Doris?
I have loved watching that young man play, Mark. Really live body.
Kogi tried to save it. Actually got it on the catch. That was Terrell with the hustle. And both teams ice cold shooting wise right now. Shooting 27 and 31% respectively.
Necchionia 7-3. Necchionia played at Temple.
And that's right. NBA Store will replace the jersey for free of any player who changes teams within 90 days of the purchase. Have an American Express card? Use it and get covered on jerseys for a full year.
That's a great, that's a really smart idea.
Amen. So you pull out the Amex card around the trade deadline just in case, right?
Oh, see, somebody's already anticipating that Kyrie Irving might get... Come on now, no way.
Hey, well, you know, there's some big names out there still to either be moved or stick around. And I think about the San Antonio Spurs situation right now. That thing seems to be going on forever.
Feels like a stalemate, doesn't it, Mark? No movement either side.
Gray with the miss, got it back to Cousins. And that's going to be a traveling violation against Isaiah Cousins. Isaiah Cousins out of Mount Vernon, New York, played 4 years at Oklahoma, the 59th pick in the draft a couple of years ago.
Come on now, Scooter and Rodney McRae out of Mount Vernon.
My old Miami Heat announcer, Tony Fiorentino, is from the area, had those guys.
Love T. Fiorentino. Come on now.
There's always a Miami connection, Doris. You need to know that.
Dade County. What are the 3 digits I need to know? You're always talking about
305.
305.
Throw up that 305. It's a basketball town.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
They
It's
got
a
their
basketball
drip
town.
going down there.
Crazy drip. You need an umbrella. 12-point lead for the Pistons.
How about Sean Sweeney? He's coached the Summer League 4 times. 3 times for Milwaukee, now with Detroit.
Just 33 years old, one of the younger Summer League coaches here on the sidelines.
I think we call him a veteran now.
Yeah. Get that Summer League pension going. Gray cross court. Cousins gives it back. Little high ball screen. Gray couldn't cash. And Ellenson with the rebound. Here's Bruce Brown. Nice little in and out dribble. Not enough sauce, so Kogi with the block. Jumper strong, and here comes Gray. Tyree Thomas unable to connect from outside that time. Tyree Thomas, one of the Pistons' top draft picks. He was 38th overall, but they have big plans for him. Brown reaches in with the steal. Here's on cue. Thomas had it knocked loose by Cousins out of bounds. Meanwhile, a familiar name on the sidelines, John Lucas III, the head coach of the Timberwolves.
A one-time participant here who averaged 25, 8, and 8 and has plenty of good things to offer young men. And he said, I had to understand, of course, the great John Lucas.
And now on staff with the Rockets.
Who might have both a tennis racket and a golf set here, according to you.
Hey, Luke, people forget, Senior Luke was an All-American
at tennis,
at the University of Maryland. An All-American in basketball as well, and top draft choice for the Houston Rockets back in the day.
Well, how about John Lucas, talking about as Ellenson makes a nice move. Another nice move. I'm good with it.
He's having a hard time, Doris.
He just needs a couple to fall. I like what he's doing. His handle is solid. His moves are decisive. Just keep playing.
0 for 7 from the field for Ellenson. Okogie with the miss. Minnesota with just 13 points right now. Griffin fouled on his foray to the bucket. But back to John Lucas, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves Summer League team. He was saying that to his players, and you alluded to it, we're looking for guys for the big team when the season starts who fit. We're looking for a fit. We're not looking for you to score 25 points and get 13 rebounds. We're looking for pieces right now, specific pieces. So basically he was telling the guys, you're here because we think you might fill a specific niche for us.
He was telling us a story of, he plays for Jeff Van Gundy, John Lucas in Houston. And he's wide open. And it's when they've got Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. And you got to do the sound effect that Tracy McGrady.
Gracie would make a noise that went something like.
So he shoots the ball. I can't remember if he made it. I think he misses it. Jeff Van Gundy pulls him out of the game. And he said rightfully so, because Tracy and Yao were the pieces there. They need the shots. Just because you're open doesn't mean you shoot it.
Yeah, he got to know that little noise that Tracy made real quickly, and it translated quickly. He got the meaning of it.
That's right.
There's Brown, little side pick and roll with Ellenson. Bruce Brown has that strong body and finishes at the basket.
Well, that's a terrific offensive move. I like the strength. I like the burst. But really, Brown's about this. He can go 2, 3, and 4 defensively, and that is huge.
Bates Diop with an emphatic finish and the crush. A timeout called by the Pistons and head coach Sean Sweeney. It's NBA Summer League here in Las Vegas. A look next door at Thomas and Mack. Where Atlanta and Indiana, a couple of teams both coming into the tournament at 1 and 2 squaring off. The Pacers with the early lead. And speaking of the Pacers, they lost a player to the Pistons. I want to say that Glenn Rice recently signed with the Detroit Pistons.
I do like Indiana's offseason moves, though, Mark.
Yep.
It's a group that likes playing together. They got deeper. Victor Oladipo, most improved player, all NBA.
Yeah, Kevin Pritchard continues to make some real key and productive moves in the front office for the Pacers. Here's Cousins on the drive. Tough jump shot, a little bit out of control. Minnesota with a chance to get this down below 10. Brown pulls it out. Bruce Brown played in only 19 games this past season for the Hurricanes and missed the postseason due to a left foot injury. And a big-time block by Griffin. He slapped that against the glass. Brown with a little bully ball underneath. He put Cousins in the weight room. And Detroit leads by 12. Brown with the board. Boy, it is fast and physical out there.
Not a lot of points.
Here's Okogie. Fouled.
But we can appreciate some good defense and some hard competitive pursuit as Mr. Griffin twice on the base. He's looking the whole way. Yes, the footsteps you heard are real and the sight you saw is real.
Great pursuit by Eric Griffin out of Orlando, Florida, undrafted back in 2012. All Big South his senior season at Campbell. Shot a school record 56% from the field. One of a few Big South players here at Summer League. Jefferson. Little dribble handoff to Okogie. Now, Josh Okogie has one of the best mentors you could ever ask for. As Thomas gets an easy one at the other end. He played for Chris Paul's AAU team coming up out of the North Carolina area and was invited to Chris Paul's elite skills camp for backcourt players. And has, on several occasions, had a chance to sit down and work out with Chris Paul. So he's a guy who is in good hands moving forward as it pertains to mentors in the NBA.
I'd say that's about as good as it gets.
Ellenson getting an easy one underneath. This was inevitable. You would think that there was some kind of reform, some type of change in legislation coming. And I agree with Commissioner Silver. It's overdue. It's time to let them come straight in.
I think, at least this is how I felt, Mark. Most of us who covered the league felt like this was a foregone conclusion. Adam Silver just gave voice to it, obviously. But I think for the NCAA, maybe the final straw was the latest college basketball scandal that broke last summer. You know, and it's interesting, I was at Celtics camp, the first day of Celtics camp, when the news broke about that college basketball scandal, Mark. And Brad Stevens, when I got into the gym, I remember him saying to me, this could lead to a more level playing field in the NCAA. And that's from a man who brought Butler to 2 NCAA title games, lost in both, but had a chance in each.
Yeah, a little bit more on merit as opposed to fiscal resources, put it another way. Ray couldn't get that pass through.
In the politest way possible, in fact.
Fiscal resources. It must be July, Doris. Thomas at the end of the buzzer. That's the end of the first half. The great disposition never seemed to be rattled.
I averaged 15 and 9 at Duke, but that was playing alongside Marvin Bagley. So you got to believe those numbers would have been incredibly impressive had there not been so much talent there.
There's Jefferson out top. That's going to be a holding foul against Bruce Brown.
Detroit foul number 6, Bruce Brown.
The teams will be in the penalty on the 10th foul here in Summer League play. And beginning today, no longer do you not foul out on your 6th foul. It was 10 fouls in opening round play. Now it's down to 6.
See what I'm talking about with Brown's defensive ability, Mark?
Get down in the stands and cover you. Terrell with the long jump shot. You know, the Minnesota Timberwolves this year, surprisingly, Doris, weren't as good as people would have thought defensively, especially for a Tom Thibodeau team.
Well, I think when you look at what the starting unit did for them, okay, they were a top 5 offensive team, Minnesota. Now, I'm just talking the starting unit. Top 5 offensive team, 7th in defense. But again, I'm talking just, so my point on this whole Minnesota team is it's about their depth and lengthening that bench and getting contributions and maintaining the level. Because let's be real, that's starting 5.
Yeah.
Let's talk Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns. Those two young men, Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, have been special in this league offensively. Now, do both have a long way to go defensively? No question about it.
That was the source of a little bit of frustration recently aired by Jimmy Butler, who is a member of the NBA's all-defensive team. Jefferson battling underneath and draws the foul on Detroit. The big three for the Minnesota Timberwolves: Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins. And as you mentioned, it might be more about the depth as opposed to those three, plus Taj Gibson, when you look at the starting 5.
Correct. And, you know, Jamal Crawford opts out. So there goes a score. There's Tom Thibodeau. But I think he feels, and he is also their president of basketball operations, he feels like they made great strides this year. Remember, they ended an incredibly long playoff drought. You know, he talked about sort of the accelerated experience because every game down the stretch was a playoff game. And essentially, the last regular season game, that was in or out of the playoffs. That's like playing a Game 7.
They made it back to the playoffs for the first time since 2004, I want to say, when Kevin Garnett was still in the Timberwolves uniform, along with Sam Cassell, Latrell Sprewell, amongst other guys. But, you know, people say that Tibbs' teams struggle offensively. You mentioned they were in the upper third in offensive efficiency this year, so that narrative was quite false.
They brought back Derrick Rose. You got Jeff Teague at the starting point guard, backup Tyus.
Brown underneath over Jefferson. Strong move by Bruce Brown. Averaged just under 12 points a game last year at the University of Miami. He has 11 right now. Pistons leading by 19. That's going to be an offensive foul against Terrell. Jared Terrell out of Rhode Island, a 4-year player, signed a 2-way contract with Minnesota right after the draft. You know, it's interesting how, Doris, immediately after the draft, the amount of phone calls that are made to free agents and their representatives that basically say, hey, we didn't draft you, but we want you to come to our training camp and make our team. And, you know, there are some 6-figure contracts that go out, or contract guarantees that go out to guys that make it very much incentivized.
It's amazing how many incredibly effective NBA players have come out of that second round. I mean, Manu Ginobili is winding down his career, but that's a second-round pick.
Adrian Wojnarowski posted something recently where recent second-round pick signed for $4 million. So second-round money is nothing to sneeze at anymore. Not that it ever was. Okogie inside with the scoop shot for Minnesota.
You know what? That's a terrific job by him to recollect, but his handle has got to get tighter. He is loose with it. It's high.
Spent 2 years at Georgia Tech. Lofton on the drive. Good help defense by Jefferson. Batted it away. Here's Okogie with the jumper short. Brown with the run out. A 2-on-1 for Detroit. And a nice finish on the break by the Pistons. Lofton with the left hand. Out of New Mexico State. He's got 4 points a game. Detroit leading comfortably.
How about Lofton plays at 2 different schools and wins 2 different Conference Player of the Year awards? Let me just transfer to a different conference so I can be the best there.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Brown, a dogged effort on defense. This pass never made it to Ellington, out of bounds.
So Josh Okogie, you were talking about Chris Paul as his mentor. When he's put it in his left hand, Mark, it's come a little bit away from his body. Now he does a heck of a job, wants the cross, but that ball's got to be lower. That's got to be tighter. Because that might have been a bucket here. That ain't a bucket in the
October.
NBA. Correct.
Gotcha. Coming on to 6 minutes to go in the third quarter.
That was recovery time for the post. That might have been sent back to half court.
Nice finish by Cook that time.
You're not going to tell me I'm a hard grader tonight?
I've gotten used to you.
You know, my ex-husband told
my
me
A's,
that too.
yeah. My A's are your C pluses.
Nice move. Wow.
Lofton again. New Mexico State. Pistons have been in control since the middle part of the first quarter. Long jumper, nothing but butter.
Just really smooth use of the screen. Get yourself squared up quickly.
Charles Cook with the three. That was their first made three. They were 0 for 15 before that last one by Cook. Boy, that's an almost impossible pass by Ellenson. Time out on the floor with 5:09 to go in the third quarter. Detroit hitting on all cylinders right now. For Dam.
No. I'm very afraid of heights. You're going to have to medicate me. I ain't going over that bridge.
You can see it flying into Las Vegas. Boy, it's a great time out here. You come out to Summer League, so many things to do in and around basketball. You can buy your ticket to the session and go back and forth between Cox Pavilion and the Thomas and Mack Center. Jefferson underneath kicks it back out to Cook.
That is Emil Jefferson in a nutshell, though. This guy is a tremendous rebounder. He's always been undersized, going back to his very successful career at Duke, but he has got a non-stop motor.
Yeah, leads the Vegas Summer League with 39 total rebounds through 3 games. I was speaking with assistant coach Eddie Pinckney of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Does a fantastic job on staff with Tibbs, and he says that Jefferson has been arguably their most consistent player so far, and on cue, couldn't finish. Man, the Pistons contesting everything inside, especially Griffin, who we've seen, Doris, block several shots here today.
He's been very aggressive defending
Detroit foul
the
number
rim.
6, Bruce Brown, his third personal foul.
Since college at Campbell, Griffin has played in Italy, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and get this, Dubai. That passport has a lot of stamps on it.
Goaltending, count the basket by Keita Bates-Diop.
Count that last hoop. Bates-Diop going to the free throw line for Minnesota.
But you know what? That kind of effort has gotten him more and more minutes as Summer League has worn on, Mark.
Little side pick and roll with Stark and Jefferson. Bates-Diop, tough shot off glass is good.
Bates-Diop off the glass.
This is exactly what they want, right? They said, you get a mismatch, then put it on the deck and get to the rack. He recognized, nice decisive move.
Brown kicks it out to the corner. Hearn's jumper is no good. And now Minnesota's with a chance to get this thing below 10 points. Bates-Diop goes quick again with it. And a 3-second violation going to go against Jefferson.
T-Wolves 3 seconds.
I've been better off shooting it the first time.
No doubt, no doubt. Kate's Beta-Diop, just little lift of the defender and a nice job using the window there.
Big Ten Player of the Year and the second team AP All-American last season. His freshman year, he actually shot 46% on his threes. I know it's the college line, but 46% is still pretty good. Off the Smith miss. There's Bates-Diop with the finger roll.
Ooh, you see that 7'3" wingspan coming into play on that nice finger roll. They don't even know who George Gervin is, I bet.
You had the poster too, right? Him on those big
the
cubes of
Iceman
ice.
coming.
Lofton, little two-man game with Griffin. Approaching 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
Illegal screen by Griffin. Bates-Diop, who had gotten cut off on the prior drive, This time recognizes, okay, it's early offense, but nobody's bothered to pick me up. Semi-transition. Lay that up. 9 points, 4 boards for Bates Diop.
So Minnesota has cut this lead down to 8. 9-0 run right now. Pick and pop action, the jumper good. Neil Jefferson getting active, and Minnesota within 6. This is as close as they've been in a long time. They trailed by 19 points. Well, Griffin not really looking to score much down there, is he, Doris? Long jumper is good, so he made a good decision in passing it out to Lofton.
Correct. You're right, though. You know, on the catch, pretty quick kick out.
Kogi out front. 10 on the clock. We approach 2 minutes to go in the third. Winner of this game will take on Chicago. Under 2 minutes. Lofton got a good screen. And he draws the foul. Lofton will go to the free throw line. We have more Summer League action coming up next. The Toronto Raptors taking on the Denver Nuggets. Also streaming live on the ESPN.
How would you describe your court vision and your handle on that position?
I just try to stay at my own pace. I don't try to get sped up. I try to play the game at my speed and pick out the defense. You know, early on in the game, I try to see how the defense is playing me, how they playing ball screens before I attack in the second half. So I kind of test the defense, try things, and see how they react.
When we spoke Monday, you praised your experience in the G League for how far you've come. How would you describe the biggest difference from when you were in Vegas here last year to now?
Just confidence, getting a lot of reps. When you're in the gym, you're just more comfortable as a player, and you know the coaches got more confidence in me and put me in great opportunities to display my talent. And I'm around a great group of teammates and that can score the ball that make me look good also.
You guys are 3-0, about to kick off tournament play. It's win and move on. What is your biggest motivation going forward?
Just try to. I tell the guys all the time, just play hard. We can't control, like I said, shots that we make or miss, things like that. But one thing we can do is just be tough as nails defensively and play as a team and try to get these wins.
Good luck against the Raptors tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, the Denver Nuggets are undefeated so far in Summer League play at 3-0 coming into the tournament play. And Monty Morris, boy, Monday against Milwaukee had a great stat line. 20 points, 8 of 6 assists, and 6 rebounds.
If you want to know how to prove your point as you get a nice play by Cousins, jump in the passing lane and a nice finish, follow what Monty Morris has done here.
In particular?
His assist-to-turnover ratio is absolutely dynamite. He's shooting 48% more. His trademark at Iowa State was taking care of the basketball. I mean, that's you're going to get spot minutes, right, in the backup 2 or the backup 3, which means you cannot turn it over. You can't hurt your team in those minutes.
He played for a pretty good coach at Iowa State. Fred Hoiberg there for some of his time. Hearn with the rebound underneath, and Hearn draws the foul. We talked about Jeff Van Gundy a moment ago, and Reggie Hearn going to the free throw line for the Detroit Pistons. Also played for our colleague as a member of USA Basketball recently in the FIBA qualification in Mexico City as well as Cuba. And Jeff had nothing but glowing remarks for Reggie Hearn for his effort and his skill. And, you know, you go into Mexico City playing at altitude against a hostile environment, it's not as easy as it looks sometimes. And he was one of the cornerstones.
That's correct, because he's one of the few holdovers that's played on, you know, a couple of teams for Jeff, right? Because sometimes they're reconfiguring that roster. And he was one of their better scorers in the first qualifier they played.
Hearn out of Northwestern, been in the G League since college with Idaho, Reno, and Grand Rapids. Here's Smith down court.
I like Smith. I like how hard he plays.
Blew a tire right there, though, Doris.
He sure did.
Turned it over.
You can tell he's so much more comfortable with the right hand. He might have started. There was some question whether Larry Drew was going to start tonight because he had that back issue that held him out.
Speedy Smith out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Starts with another bucket. Minnesota back to within 6, so they have clawed back from a 19-point deficit. And this game has become a game again. Griffin lost the handle. Rolls up the hook short, and it's short. Minnesota on a 16-5 run right now. Drive, no good. Good follow by Jefferson. And it's a 4-point game and a steal. It'll count. Didn't go, though. Boy, Tibbs a little worn out here by that Vegas life. Big old yawn here, but his team playing enthusiastically, Doors, coming back to within 4 now. At the beginning of the quarter, they trailed by as many as 19 at one point.
You like that they haven't quit.
Nice feed inside. Hearn on the cut from Thomas.
I like Thomas's game, boy. He's got a nice, strong, solid frame. And there was some thought that he and Brown were sort of competing against each other. But I think both of them have a chance, according to Minnesota.
Bates' job. A nice slam. Boy, the floor was wide open, and he came right down Main Street. 13 points for him. Bruce Brown out front. Brown out of Miami had a strong first half for Detroit. Hearn, nice find across court. Terrific ball movement. The extra pass to Brown, and he couldn't cash. Isaiah Cousins with a chance to cut it to 2 for the Timberwolves. Bates' job got picked clean by Hearns. You know, you think about the Pistons this year as Hearns walks into a 3 and left it short. If Blake Griffin is healthy and Dwayne Casey can get he and Drummond to perform at a high level, they've got a great shot in the Eastern Conference. And then, you know, they're strong at the 1 and 5 with Reggie Jackson. I think Detroit stands to be improved this year.
Think about how much injuries took a toll on the Detroit Pistons a year ago. Reggie Jackson missed significant time. Blake Griffin. You could go up and down the roster and find John Lohr never played. John Lohr is, you know, big that's got, you know, shooting ability, can put it on the deck, can make some passes as a playmaker.
Brown off the handoff. Strong move, Bruce Brown. Griffin inside.
That's the time where he's aggressive. You're right. When they enter it through the low box, he doesn't do much, but he'll be aggressive as an offensive rebounder.
White. Shot clock down to 8 for Isaiah Cousins. On the switch. Tough shot by Cousins. Cousins drafted by the Sacramento Kings, spent some time there. And in the G League, most recently with the Utah Jazz G League affiliate. Thomas. Back the other way. Terrell back out to Bates Diop. And he drills the 3.
It's just a failure to communicate by the 2 Detroit defenders. And it leads to a wide open 3. But yes, Dwayne is going to coach you and work you hard, but he's going to love you harder. And what was the theme of yesterday's coaching? Relationships. Yeah.
Dwayne Casey certainly built them in Toronto and leading them to 59 wins last year. Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, a couple guys that went to the wall for their head coach because of the strong bond between them. Stark with a nice show and go, got into the paint, and Minnesota has taken their first lead since it was 2-0.
John Lucas down there in a stance, giving his guys encouragement. He played in this summer league. He knows a thing or two about fighting and scrapping and clawing his way to a roster.
Winner of this game goes on to take on the Chicago Bulls in tournament play. Cross court to Hearn. Minnesota on a 27-9 run. Hearn underneath. Ellenson passed up the shot. Boy, he really has a tough time getting by, guys. Did you see that, Doris?
Well, still physically, you can tell you can get him knocked off. He is 1 for 15.
Ellenson trying to guard Stark. Stark gave it up. Diop came up short on the jump shot. Ellenson, that handle a little bit loose, and they ripped him clean. 2-on-1 the other way. Okogie with the left hand.
Defense turning to offense. They're getting some momentum. John Lucas is going. That's my plan right there. Look at him. I love it.
With his dad, Pops, looking courtside. Bruce Brown with a tough shot underneath. And the rookie out of the University of Miami with 13 points of the game. The lead back down to 1. Approaching 5 minutes to go. Jefferson. Okogie, a tough turnaround. Butter. Josh Okogie starting to warm up. Under 5 minutes. Kyrie Thomas, their second-round pick, has been relatively quiet. It got blocked that time on the drive. Kyrie Thomas had a great, played 3 years there, led the Big East in field goal percentage last year, but unable to make much of a splash here offensively. Brown on the break, takes it right in. What do you think, a little too deep, Doris?
Okogie's defense was tremendous.
Ellenson 1 for 15. Finally, from deep, Henry Ellenson. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right, Doris?
Well, his reaction was exactly your verbiage. It was such a, reaction of relief, like, amen, that thing went in.
Bates Diop kept it alive, back out to the Timberwolves, another possession. Ball screen for Stark. Terrell and Hearn with the board. Nice rim run by Griffin for the slam.
Good find by Hearn, too. He got his head up as soon as he got the basketball. That's exactly what you want from Griffin. Rim run, beat the big down the floor, get an easy one.
And a timeout on the floor. The Pistons retake the lead. Just taking on the Denver Nuggets at 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Was that Tyler Lydon sporting a full beard and mustache?
Everyone's got a little bit of a different summer look. I'm still getting used to it.
What you going with?
I'm trying to do the little wave thing up top with the hair. Get a little pomade in there. It's my summer look. Under 3 minutes to go. Bates Diop.
Who wants the ball here, Mark?
Okogie being denied nicely by Kyrie Thomas. Thomas, I mentioned a moment ago, hasn't been able to shake himself free at the offensive end, but dogged defense that time against Okogie.
I love that. Listen, Kyrie Thomas and Bruce Brown were both second-round draft picks. They were drafted 4 spots apart, right, a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was now. But both guys showing a willingness and ability to guard, and really good deny that last sequence.
There they team up on the pick and pop, but Thomas had his shot blocked nicely by Okogie. Wow, tremendous recovery. That's 4 blocks for him. Wow, you get those kind of blocks out of the 2 spot. That's very Dwayne Wade-like.
Settle down, Mark Jones.
He is amongst all-time leaders for shooting guards for blocks, so, just threw it out there. Hearn on the drive, and he had his shot partially blocked by Keita Bates-Diop.
Good job not fouling, right? Use your verticality, use that wingspan. Looks like he's got the step. He stays with him. He doesn't panic because he's got like half a step on him, right? He just stays nice and wide, stay vertical.
Detroit leading by 2. Who did the Timberwolves go to? Okogie. Cousins, Jefferson, Bates, Diop, and Terrell on the baseline. Contested 2 is no good. Brown walks it up court. Bruce Brown has, what do you think? He's been pretty solid, right, out front, running the show for Detroit?
No question about it, Mark.
Ellenson hit his last 3 and took it to the bucket. Hey, quieting the critics with a couple of strong plays here in the dying moments of the game. They lead by 4. Bates Diop walked with it.
It was a long night for Mr. Ellenson. You could hang your head when you're 1 for 15. Did he? No, he made a 3. He has done this all night, Mark. He's driven hard. He's gotten by a couple of times. He's done everything but put it in the hole.
Yeah. Ellenson out of Marquette.
But when it's been needed, he's delivered. 7 points, 7 rebounds. Stevie LeBeau, nicely done.
The Summer League staple. No one's better with the numbers and stats. Brown called his own number and couldn't cash in. Quick run out. Okogie leading the way. Took the hit from Ellenson. He was seeking the contact, and as a result, he'll go to the free throw line and pull them to within 2.
His nickname is nonstop, Okogie.
I like that.
He was nonstop on that drive.
Third-team All-ACC a season ago.
He's delightful. I saw a couple of features on him on NBA.com.
His 18.2 points per game, best scoring average by a Georgia Tech player since Matt Harpring back in '97.
Come on, I loved Matt Harpring at Georgia Tech. And he wanted to wear number 5, but that's already taken in a Minnesota uniform by Gorgie Zhang. So his 20 is what his high school number was. We're giving you all kinds of needs.
By 3.
Probably, I wouldn't mind if Bates Diop gets an opportunity here, or if Okogie can get by on a drive.
Bates Diop flashed open momentarily. Now they're going to pull it out and run a half-court set. Stark, little side pick and roll, got the switch onto Ellenson. Great kick out for the tie. Oh, that was halfway down and out by Bates Diop.
Yeah, really good job rethinking it right there. You saw Lofton thinking about pushing the pace. I'm like, where are you going? You got the ball in a 3-point lead.
Ellenson inside. And here comes Minnesota. Chance to get it down to 1. They've got numbers for the tie. Terrell. And that one rims down and out. Loose ball. Bates Diop. And a jump ball called. Stark motion for the timeout, as did Lucas. And couldn't get it.
He was well onto the floor.
And the Pistons get control of the tip.
Just play keep away here. There's your foul
Brown
to give.
Fouled. Boy, they had 2 glowing opportunities to tie it up here, Doris, and couldn't knock either 3 down. Here's the first.
That is correct. Really good job by Starks to get into the paint, get a little bit of separation for Bates Diop. That is in and out. And then the run into the 3 in transition. Nothing doing. Ellenson can't control it. Then the scrum ensues.
And Terrell, who missed that last one, was a 41% three-point shooter at Rhode Island. A whistle and a foul going to go as Kyrie Thomas tried to collect the ball. 6.5 seconds to go, and now Thomas is going to go to the free throw line.
Under 2 minutes, that puts the T-Wolves.
Mentioned Thomas' second-round pick
Shooting 2 throws for the Pistons.
for the Detroit Pistons. Played at Creighton for 3 years. Doug McDermott's dad. Big East Defensive Player of the Year in each of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 years. Knows who he is. He said the biggest thing for him is like figuring out how to move without the ball, space the floor, but nice job stepping in and knocking those down.
Lloyd Pierce, the new head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. 6.5 to go here.
Assistant to Brett Brown a season ago.
Job Bates. They get the putback. It's a 3-point game, only 2 seconds to go. Brown fouled with 1.4 to play.
Minnesota foul number 7, Jonathan Stark. His third personal foul.
You know, as I watch the ending of this game with 1.4 to go and all the fouls, it happens a lot. We have that new proposal in the basketball tournament where they determine that whatever the score is, I think with 3 minutes to go, they add 7 or 10 points. I'm not sure, I don't recall.
Yeah.
But they set a finite ending depending on what the score is on the last 2 or 3 minutes. Do you like that concept? They feel that that might eliminate late game fouls and all the processions we see to the foul line when the game is pretty much done.
Not for the NBA, but I will say it's a nice steal there. I do want to see